At the edge of the world, the Gobi Desert emerges like a dead planet, where temperatures plummet below zero and frost blankets the sharp, jagged ridges. A land of absolute wilderness where only cold winds howl through ancient ravines. But behind this deadly silence lies the most ruthless battle for survival. Welcome to the domain of the ghost of the steppe. 5 o'clock. The Mongolian Gobi Desert remains locked in a brittle, freezing embrace. Moving silently through icy fog is the elusive snow leopard, Panthera uncia. While massive wild Bactrian camels echo distantly, this ghost begins its morning patrol. With frosted whiskers, it tastes the freezing air, analyzing invisible desert currents. For smaller inhabitants, like this nocturnal jerboa, biting chill means retreating underground. From a high-altitude vantage point, the apex predator silently surveys its domain. Below, a Siberian Ibex remains unaware as the camouflage master steps down. Above the mist, a massive golden eagle hunts on high-altitude drafts. Surviving extremes requires extreme thermoregulation. A thick coat insulates against the freeze. Every creature fuels its fire. This Tolai hare consumes frozen twigs for heat. Prehistoric leviathans march across the shrub steppe. The camel is the ultimate survivor. Driven by immense hunger, the rare Gobi bear unearths dormant, frozen roots. These distinct lives share a barren Mongolian ecosystem where extracting calories is victory. Descending toward the sandy steppe, the snow leopard uses its tail as counterbalance. Its fur-padded paws act as snowshoes, distributing weight so footsteps are mere whispers. These sheer, ancient rock faces stand as silent monuments, sculpted by relentless winds. Overcoming brutal terrain requires leaps of faith, executed with gravity-defying athletic precision. An Argali sheep grazes openly, oblivious to the lethal shadow flattening itself nearby. Adding to the hidden biodiversity, the fluffy Pallas's cat relies on extreme stealth. With pale green eyes, the supreme hunter calculates variables of its barren environment. As sand warms, an agile Corsac fox emerges, searching the earth for breakfast. Taking a rare respite, the snow leopard grooms its thick, life-saving fur. Rest is fleeting. With astonishing power, the feline scales peaks for tactical advantage. Even here, life persists. A hardy Altai snowcock pecks frozen soil for seeds. Wrapping its dense tail over its face, the leopard warms the freezing air. Silhouetted against the dawn, the predator traverses sand dunes, casting a solitary shadow. An elegant goitered gazelle passes near the perfectly camouflaged assassin hidden in sight. With effortless power, the massive cat descends from crags to patrol lower plateaus. Beneath that thick winter coat ripples an immense network of explosive muscular power. A lethal saker falcon scans the barren landscape, a winged missile awaiting strike. By 8 o'clock, the overcast sky illuminates the terrifying, endless gravel plains. Navigating sharp shale, the snow leopard continues its relentless, methodical boundary patrol. On expansive steppes, sturdy Przewalski's horses rip tough, dry grass from hard soil. Built for endurance, they shake off heavy desert dust and face howling winds. The only proof of its passing is a massive track in pale sand. Moving like ancient kings, a camel herd crests dunes in a majestic line. Rising temperatures force the heavily insulated snow leopard to seek a boulder's shade. While a camel consumes thorny shrubs below, the feline sleeps undetected high above. From this vantage point, it casually observes herds moving across the valley floor. The floor heats rapidly. A long-eared hedgehog scurries, desperate to avoid open plains. Ambient warmth becomes oppressive. Conserving energy is now an absolute biological mandate. A massive Argali sheep remains vigilant, unaware its feared predator sleeps deeply. Indistinguishable from gray rubble, the snow leopard shifts to find the coolest stone. Even the energetic goitered gazelle ceases foraging, standing perfectly still to avoid overheating. Yet, in deep rest, the leopard's fur-lined ears twitch, constantly monitoring the desert. By mid-morning, fractured rock formations bake under the flat, shadowless, overcast sky. Relaxed in a shallow cave, the leopard exposes its thick belly to stone. A cinereous vulture patiently preens, a grim overseer waiting out the mid-morning lull. With a relaxing, the elusive apex predator closes its eyes to sleep. The vulture's wrinkled face remains alert. The harsh desert provides for those waiting. Seeking maximum relief from warming air, the heavily furred leopard lazily rolls over. A Gobi bear lumbers past, oblivious to the lethal neighbor sleeping hidden above. To escape rising temperatures, a tiny Mongolian gerbil digs into the cool earth. The desert's rhythm slows to the deep inhalation of a massive sleeping predator. A camouflaged plate-tailed gecko remains motionless, moistening its lidless eyes in dry air. With tough lips, the wild camel consumes thorny brush before midday heat peaks. Finding the deepest shadow available, the snow leopard flattens against the ravine floor. Endless, undulating dunes create a terrifyingly empty ocean of sand in the Gobi. A Siberian Ibex senses invisible presence, stamping hooves near the sleeping assassin. Even in absolute lethargy, the highly lethal claws of the snow leopard twitch. It is noon, the peak of the diurnal cycle. The desert falls silent. A goitered gazelle pants rapidly, standing completely frozen amidst the sparse brush. A Tartar sand boa buries itself beneath loose surface, escaping overwhelming environmental extremes. The apex predator's thick coat rises with incredibly slow, rhythmic breaths against rock. Wedged tightly into a rock crevice, a furred Pallas's cat waits out midday. In flat, shadowless light, the snow leopard becomes invisible against the scree slope. A massive camel herd sits in a defensive circle, chewing cud exhaustedly. Herbivores endure the silence, while the predator sleeps high on the distant plateau. An Isabelline shrike sits perfectly still, conserving every drop of precious energy. Hanging limply over a rock edge, the leopard's thick tail remains totally motionless. Under the flat midday sky, the rocky badlands appear entirely devoid of life. Squeezed into a deep rock fissure, the snow leopard avoids exhausting midday elements. A wild Przewalski's horse stands motionless, bowing its head to endure windless heat. Pressing its body flat into shadows, a Tolai hare hides perfectly from above. The sleeping cat's fur perfectly mirrors gray stone, a masterclass in camouflage adaptations. Stretched out along a narrow cliff ledge, the massive feline rests completely still. An enormous Argali sheep rests its horns, submitting to the afternoon's profound lethargy. Perfectly camouflaged against pale stone, the sleeping predator exhibits slight involuntary flinches. A golden eagle sits completely motionless, refusing to expend energy in quiet air. With eyes heavily shut, the snow leopard surrenders to the desert's circadian rhythm. Looking like ancient scattered boulders, the camel herd lies immobilized on gravel plains. Deep within a shadowed hollow, the leopard takes slow breaths, entirely at peace. A sedated Siberian ibex chews cud, oblivious it shares this sanctuary with death. Captured in cinema verite, macro details highlight dense fur rising with slow breaths. Hidden beneath dead shrub debris, a long-eared hedgehog waits silently for intense cooling. Past 2, heat peaks. For the first time in hours, the leopard rises. Distant dust devils form on cracked salt pans, signaling crucial air pressure shifts. A Gobi bear stands. High above, the snow leopard vigorously shakes off dust. Waking from deep slumber, the feline stretching jaw muscles capable of crushing. The intense, pale green eyes of the apex predator instantly focus on valleys. As afternoon air cools, the snow leopard paces ridges, loosening heavy, rested muscles. A wild horse resumes grazing, completely unaware of the predator slinking low nearby. The highly agile Corsac fox stops, smelling promising shifts in cooling afternoon winds. Immense power is contained within highly tensed back muscles as the leopard descends. Executing a totally silent leap, the predator lands smoothly, absorbing the immense impact. Sensing a shift, a massive herd of agile, goitered gazelles moves in unison. Slinking incredibly low behind a ridge, the snow leopard begins a silent track. A suspicious Argali sheep violently cooling air, instincts warning of hidden danger. Launching with explosive power, a Saker falcon takes to the sky to hunt. Locked in absolute focus, the patterned face of the snow leopard shows intent. Taking advantage of cooling air, a wild Bactrian camel feeds heavily on grass. A cautious Tolai hare emerges from rocky shadows, nervously foraging for fallen seeds. A Gobi bear digs roots, ignoring the ghost-like snow leopard traversing behind it. With a perfectly lowered center of gravity, the ambush predator begins its stalk. Unbelievable muscular control allows the cat to step over branches without a sound. A massive golden eagle rides afternoon thermals, surveying deep valleys from the sky. From the absolute highest precarious pinnacle, the snow leopard assesses chosen hunting grounds. A nervous Siberian Ibex feeds below, unaware of the lethal gaze locked upon it. Displaying supreme patience, the heavily furred Pallas's cat freezes while hunting pale grass. The unique, round pupils of the Pallas's cat dilate, locking onto unseen prey. Casting immense dramatic shadows in late afternoon, the camel herd marches steadily onward. Using deeply shadowed gorges as absolute cover, the snow leopard glides forward unseen. A Przewalski's horse flicks ears nervously, sensing the apex predator in upper shadows. An immense cinereous vulture lands on bones, serving as the grim badlands cleaner. The massive, incredibly long tail acts as a perfect counterbalance on narrow ledges. As daylight fades rapidly, the solitary Gobi bear retreats to weather coming night. Hunting before extreme cold sets in, the agile Corsac fox dives for prey. Sensing danger, a goitered gazelle violently stamps hooves near the completely hidden predator. A nocturnal jerboa emerges, long whiskers twitching as it prepares for freezing night. Breathing deeply, the massive apex predator readies incredible muscles for the twilight hunt. Breathtaking twilight settles, turning jagged peaks into stark, chillingly beautiful black rock silhouettes. Silhouetted perfectly against fading orange sky, the snow leopard begins utterly silent descent. A Siberian Ibex herd huddles, unaware of the apex predator rapidly descending above. Embracing cold twilight, the long-eared hedgehog leaves its shelter to hunt freezing sand. Temperatures plummet shockingly fast. White vapor escapes the snow leopard's jaws in twilight. Demonstrating impossible balance, the Siberian Ibex casually traverse terrifyingly steep, vertical cliffs. Flowing like a liquid shadow, the snow leopard descends the deadly cliffs effortlessly. An Argali sheep rests oblivious to the lethal apex predator creeping inches above. As sand rapidly drops in temperature, the Tartar sand boa seeks warm crevices. Fully extended claws grip freezing stone, anchoring the massive predator on sheer cliffs. Melding entirely into dark blue twilight shadows, the snow leopard closes final distances. A solitary Siberian ibex steps nervously on an exposed promontory, sensing imminent danger. The apex predator slips silently past a sleeping Przewalski's horse, an undetected ghost. A fierce Saker falcon returns to its sheer cliff roost before freezing winds. Immense raw kinetic power is contained within the highly tensed, stalking shoulder muscles. Isolated on a steep cliff, the Siberian ibex stares into darkness, lacking options. Directly above its prey, the snow leopard lowers into a flat, striking posture. A camel's loud chewing perfectly masks the deadly silence of the coiled predator. A plate-tailed gecko clings motionlessly, surviving mere inches from the hyper-focused apex predator. Heavily dilated in extremely low light, predator eyes lock onto the lethal trajectory. Exploding with terrifying kinetic energy, the massive snow leopard launches into dark voids. Reacting desperately, the terrified Siberian ibex throws its body backward to evade strikes. The sudden explosion of action sends lower valley herbivores sprinting away in terror. Landing with massive impact, the snow leopard instantly propels into a vertical chase. Powerful, splayed paws strike loose gravel forcefully, sending sharp stones flying into twilight. In a breathtaking agility display, the predator chases prey down a steep chute. Closing the gap flawlessly, the apex predator launches forward in one dominant leap. A massive Gobi bear watches as a dramatic dust cloud erupts from Takedown. Using sheer body weight and unimaginable muscular strength, the apex predator pins prey. Triumphant in freezing twilight, the ghost maintains the trophic cascade of this kingdom. The ghost has claimed its prize, securing its survival for one more freezing night in the Gobi. As darkness reclaims the steppe, temperatures plummet into punishing, deadly extremes. Uncover the ultimate test of survival in the Gobi Desert extremes, right here.